This is Weekend Today in New York.
So is it getting harder to pay your bills? Well, maybe it's time to consider renting out your home. Author of The Accidental Landlord is here. Welcome back, everyone. With foreclosures on the rise, one way to keep your home in this volatile market may be to rent it out. Dani Babb, author of The Accidental Landlord, How to Rent Your Home When It Doesn't Make Sense to Sell It, is here this morning to take us through the pros and cons of renting your home. Danielle, thanks so much for coming in. Such an apropos topic right now. A lot of people either can't afford their home anymore or don't want to sell it right now in this market and take a loss. So what are some of the advantages to renting it out?
Well, first of all, you get to ride out the market potentially, particularly if you have equity and you don't want to sell at the bottom of the market. And who does? Wants to lose a potential in 5-10 years. Also, we have a lot of people that need to relocate for a job, and they want to test out the other market and make sure that they like, say, living in LA as opposed to New York before they make a committed move.
So before you sell your house, it's a good idea to rent it, but there are some things that you really have to be careful about. Definitely. Let's talk first about how you come up with a price and how, let's face it, people are not, experienced at being a landlord, the accidental landlord, hence the title. So what do you have to know about coming up with a price? Well,
first of all, you should never base it off what you have to pay. And a lot of people immediately say, oh, my mortgage is $2,000, my insurance is $2,200 is my price. You have to find out what the rental comps are going for. It could be more or less than your mortgage. So first of all, I always check Craigslist and see, just get a comparable. Second, I always go to rentometer.com. It tells you what other people are paying in the area. And the third way is to ask a realtor what your particular type of home would be renting out for in the area. And also, of course, if you rent it furnished, you can generally get a couple of $100 more per month. Okay, makes sense. Should you be managing the property yourself, or is it just too big of a time commitment for most people? Yeah, it really depends on where you're moving to and how close the home is, and also how confident you feel in the tenant. I have some properties I rent out myself, and others I use a property manager for. You can certainly save yourself some money, 8 to 10% per month on the rental income, which is if you don't use one. Yeah, but of course the downside is trying to find a tenant, particularly if you have a high turnover area. All right, let's talk about getting your property rented. Evaluating tenants, it could be tricky. Again, we're not experienced at this. How do you start? Well, you want to stay away from the perpetual tenant, which is the biggest problem out there. People that know they can give you a deposit and they can just continually live there, give you $50 a month. And in most states, a small payment will actually reset the amount of time that they have, and a lot of landlords don't realize that. So what you want to do is screen the heck out of your tenants. Get the application, credit report, run the criminal check. Criminal background check on prospective tenants. Absolutely. And you can do all that at the Landlord Protection Agency, which is online. All right. Also, what about insurance? Your regular homeowner's insurance is probably not going to be good enough anymore if you're renting out. No, you have a different type of liability. Well, you don't have to insure your clothes anymore, for example, but you do have to insure yourself against a trip and fall accident or some sort of other negligence that the tenant could claim. So you want to get landlord insurance. It's going to cover about $5,000 worth of items in the home, your refrigerator, your dishwasher, and so on, but it's going to cover you against different types of liabilities. And consider getting an umbrella policy if you have a lot of other assets. All right, and finally, if you're considering refinancing, it's not the time to do it after you decide to rent. You should do it first. Do it while you can control how the property looks and while you're not bugging your tenant, because really a happy tenant is going to stay in much longer and net you more income. If it's not being inspected and looked at. Exactly, and appraised and so on. All right, Dani Babb, author of The Accidental Landlord, thank you so much for coming in. Very good advice, and for more information on this topic, you can log on to WNBC.com/weekendtiny. That is Today in New York, of course. And Pat, back over to you.
All right, Carolyn, thank you.